Are you ready to shatter ceilings, to redefine what's possible in your life and business? Then welcome to the Beyond Woman podcast, where we dive deep into the heart of empowerment, the art of crafting a lifestyle business that truly serves you, and the tools to unlock your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Jacqueline Walker-Johnson, and here we celebrate the women who are rewriting the rules, the visionaries carving their own paths, and the experts who are sharing their hard-won wisdom to guide us all. Join us for intimate conversations with women who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. Women who have the expertise and the sheer grit to empower you to step into your limitless potential. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and transformed. This is the Beyond Woman podcast. Let's begin. Today's episode is sponsored by Sarah Vaughan Cosmetics. Unleash your power with fire. I've worn it, and let me tell you, this bold red means business. The Fire lipstick from Sarah Vaughan Cosmetics is not just a shade, it's a statement. It's a long-wear formula that truly lasts. No smudge, no fade, no compromise. Confidence in one swipe. Perfect for elegant women who want their beauty to speak before they do. This lipstick stays put through coffee, conversations, and even kisses. Trust me, I've tested it all day long, and it never let me down. Ready to ignite your look? Shop Fire now at www.sarahvaughan.com, because bold isn't just a color, it's who you are. In this episode of the Beyond Woman Conversations, we sit down with the dynamic LaToya McLeary, a Jamaican-born fashion stylist and creative director now making waves in New York City and across the globe. LaToya's journey is one of bold moves, global education, and creative evolution. LaToya's fashion journey began at the Style Institute in New York City, where she trained under celebrity stylist Anita Patrickson and later assisted her on major productions in LA. From there, her commitment to excellence took her across the globe, studying at top institutions including FIT in New York, Condé Nast College in London, the University of Madrid, and the School of Style, where she was mentored by none other than image architect Law Roach. She has turned her passion for fashion and travel into a luxury eyewear brand, Hot Life World, featured in Vogue, Elle, Glamour, Harper's Bazaar, and seen on international runways in Milan and Paris. In this conversation, we explore her roots, her rise, and her vision to impact the fashion world. LaToya continues to evolve with purpose, using her platform to create impact through global partnerships, especially in her beloved Jamaica. Tune in for inspirations and the reminder that your journey can be as bold and limitless as your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us amplify powerful Caribbean voices like LaToya's. Okay, welcome, LaToya. How are you? How is everything going with you?
Thank you so much, Jackie. Everything is going great. We can't complain over here. We're grinding and grooving and doing our thing, living our passion. So yes.
Okay, awesome. So today we're diving into the world of Caribbean fashion entrepreneurship, how to turn passion into profit and build a brand that stands out. Before we get into the meat of the matter, I like to start by saying, why is it that we're having this discussion today? And we want to say that the Caribbean is rich in style, it's rich in culture, it's rich in creativity, but many aspiring designers struggle with the business aspects like funding or marketing or even manufacturing. So this episode aims to provide practical tips for launching and scaling a fashion brand. And I love also to start with a statistic. And it goes, the global fashion industry is valued at over 1.7 trillion, and Caribbean designers are increasingly making their mark on this growing market. With the rise of e-commerce and social media, more women in the Caribbean are turning their creative passions into profitable fashion brands, leveraging the region's rich cultural aesthetics and craftsmanship. Additionally, women-led businesses in the Caribbean are growing at a faster rate than ever before, with female entrepreneurship in some islands surpassing that of men. This presents a huge opportunity for more women to step into the fashion industry and build successful brands. And with that said, I would love to kick things off with you sharing a bit about you, LaToya, about your journey from when you started to this point. I recently watched a snippet on IG where you mentioned that last year alone you were published 222
times. Yeah.
I just want you to start by, sharing a little bit about yourself, and let's talk about that and how that happened.
Okay, so my name is LaToya Mac, founder and creative director of Hot Life World Eyewear. We've been in business for 5 years, and it's been an uphill battle in the beginning because the most important thing that I had to establish from early is to separate a brand from a business. And I think that's where a lot of brands get, mixed up, right? A brand is separate from a business, and you have to know how to build both. So building a brand and building a successful business, it's two separate things, but one in the same, if that makes sense. So we started Art Life World out of a passion of travel and eyewear, right? Fashion. So we started a brand not knowing how to navigate this, business of fashion, because we wanted funding in the beginning, but that was very, very difficult, right? So we had to figure out how to leverage our startup and then leverage that into something profitable. So we started Art Life World just trying to figure out and navigating through the early stage, which was very difficult, and it was a learning process, right? Because I studied all these things in school, but nothing prepares you for the real world of having to do that. So once I, figured out how to separate a brand from a business, everything changed from there, because everything you have to compartmentalize it. You have to know, your PR department, your marketing, your manufacturer. So you have to literally compartmentalize everything for it to work, right? So that is how we actually was able to really make the brand evolve and grow and, and being published 222 times. But there are different elements of how we got there. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to backtrack a little bit because, of course, you're no stranger to the Beyond Woman platform.
Yes.
We featured you in one of our previous magazines.
Yes.
We spoke about, being a Caribbean woman growing up in Jamaica. So I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that aspect of, who you are, the fact that you are from Jamaica.
Okay, so I had this vision from a little girl. I knew I wanted to do product based. So growing up in Jamaica, I've always studied fashion. I've always done fashion, but I moved to New York just to really learn and own my talent in becoming, the person that I am today. So growing up in Jamaica, I used to always do these sketches and, do these things. And I'm like, but wait a minute, I need to really master this. How can I learn? How can I build on what I naturally know, right? So Art Life World started out of that love of passion, love of the passion for fashion. And I moved to New York. I went to FIT. I did many studies. I mean, guys, this took me many years of getting here, right? People see me here and they're like, oh, it's just overnight. It literally took me many, many years to get here. So I started, my passion projects in Jamaica, but I wanted to expand more on that. So I moved to New York to study fashion merchandising and management studies at FIT. Then I went on to Madrid. I went on to London. And I kind of just fostering everything that I've learned over the years and just incorporate it in one brand. The name Art Life World for me is, living your best life. So art means high fashion, world is just me incorporating my love for travel. And of course, life is just living your best life, right? So I incorporated everything that I loved into one and build it into a brand.
Wonderful. All right, so we want to move into our first segment, which deals with the reality of starting a Caribbean-based fashion brand. You spoke a little bit about that in your intro when you mentioned the challenges that you faced with funding. That was one of the first questions I was to ask you, right?
Yes.
So you spoke about the funding aspect of it and how challenging that was. What are some of the other unique challenges that you faced, and similarly other Caribbean fashion entrepreneurs may face that others might not?
Well, we the Caribbean, I think ultimately starts with funding, right? Because you can't do anything without the money. You need the resources and the money. And us in the Caribbean, which is why I moved to New York, it was very challenging for me in the beginning to say, okay, I'm going to start with X amount of money. No factory would work with me. And I had to go back to the drawing board and say, how can I start this by funding myself? I've exhausted all my resources and everything in Jamaica to find funding, but they just would not fund any projects. They're like, no, we can't fund, So I think our greatest challenge is funding. And I think ultimately you have to really believe in what you're doing, because if you don't believe in what you're doing, when the challenges come, that's when you're going to give up. And I knew I had something sustainable, so I kept pushing forward. So I think the funding, is the crucial thing that we have. Resources, we lack the resources. Listen, Jamaica is one of the most stylish countries, if not in the Caribbean, in the world. We're the one that, put Clarks on the map. We're such innovators of so many unique styles. So I feel like we shouldn't have issues with having the resources to help emerging brands like myself to establish something, but no one will help us. So I think that's one of the key challenges that we have. And guys, I'm working on a very huge project that's going to eliminate all of that. But that's for another discussion. But over my years working, I've seen that is the key thing, that we have resources. We lack resources and we lack funding, and you can't move forward. So I decided to start my brand. It took me a while, but I had to find the funding myself, and every money came out of my pocket to fund my brand, which was very, very challenging. So I think, again, the funding is that's the key, because I'm mentoring a lot of emerging designers in Jamaica, and they're like, we just don't have the money. And I'm trying to tell them, but do this way, do that way. So I think, again, it comes back to the funding and resources. They just don't have it.
Mm-hmm. And I guess based on what you're saying, that shouldn't stop anyone once, you believe in what it is that you're trying to bring to the market, and you'll have to find innovative ways of
bringing it forward. Exactly. And that's what I did. I pushed through all of that no's, because I got so many no's, and I said, no, man, this can't work. I have to keep going. I may not be doing a unique product because I was already out there, but I'm, bringing a lifestyle that people want, I'm bringing, this innovative way of living your best life through traveling, through, fashion. So I'm like, I need to find a way to do this. And we have to come up with innovative ways of, starting our business. Right. So, yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just wanted to, can you mention one way that you decided, or a decision that you made that helped you to, move your brand along?
I mean, it's a lot of sacrifice and cutting things. So there are other smaller platforms that I used to sell products on, like say Poshmark. I used to put up products, because I'm also a stylist and creative director. So I always have tons of clothes and shoes and stuff. And I'm like, each season we don't use these anymore. So why don't I sell them? Right. I remember one season we did so well that I was able to send a deposit to my manufacturer. So because I'm already in fashion, I had to leverage that, right? So all the clothes and shoes that I was not using and I got from previous photo shoots, I sold those on Poshmark, which was very lucrative for me. And that's one way how I was able to raise the funds to start the brand. Yeah. Apart from savings and, just making sacrifices and saying, oh, you know what I mean? So a lot of it was just cutting back and seeing where I could leverage whatever I'm currently doing, which was styling.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. I mean, if we go straight back to, is this your passion? Do you believe in what you're doing? And I'm thinking that if that's your thought process, then you will find ways to get to where you want to go. But I want to move into
a lot of prayer too. Don't forget that. A lot of prayer, Lord, show me the way. A lot of praying too.
I can imagine.
You have to put that in your plan as well. You have to put God at the center of it, because you think you're doing it all by yourself, but you're really not, right? You're just the action, but you need your spirit guides, and you need, that spirit support of the Almighty to just carry you through. Because some days I'm like, Lord, I'm not going to make it. But, with my faith and my, ability and believing in myself, that's what really carried me through.
I love that. I love that you mentioned the whole matter of faith.
Yes, you have to.
Yes. Awesome. All right. So I see you on social media, and I believe that you really are a standout with the designs of Hot Life Eyewear.
Thank you.
How have you managed to set the standard for Hot Life Eyewear, and also yourself as a brand and as a fashion stylist? And how can new designers also follow suit and stand out in a competitive industry, especially if, it's like a small niche, a small market?
Yes. I think being authentic to what you're doing, right? Have a voice. I don't watch what other people is doing. I watch what I'm bringing to the table, and being authentic and doing what you believe is right. And it goes with the aesthetic of your brand. I've always think that whatever I'm doing, it should be authentic, right? So that's one thing, staying in your lane and being authentic and being true and habits, telling a story with your brand. People like stories, right? They like hearing how this brand was started, what keeps you going, how is your design process. So I was able to stay very authentic and very true to that. And this is why I'm able to stand out. You have to stay authentic, right? There's only one you. You know, you can't do what someone else is doing because you can only do the best version of you, right? So you have to stay authentic. And that's what I was able to do. I was able to leverage who I am, you know, staying authentic and just keep going.
Awesome. I like that point about being authentic rather than, you know, trying to follow. Not to say, you know, because in business, they'll tell you that if someone has already accomplished, or developed something that is on the market and it's going well, you can always follow and make yours even better. But
yes,
it still means that you must remain authentic. And when persons see your product, they see you as well.
Yes, exactly.
Did you ever incorporate your Caribbean heritage in how you manufacture your eyewear?
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
It's funny because Jamaica in itself is such a brand. One of our most popular and most sold out brand is the Yardi collection. So I shot the Yardi collection right down in Kingston, Jamaica by the Art Walk. And that collection did so well. I mean, I name it, you know, the styles were named after different, you know, towns in Jamaica. Like you had the Jamrock, you had the Trench Town, you had the Kingston 11. And that for me was like one of my best collections. Not only did I pay like respect to, you know, my country, but I also, the styles were so inspired by growing up in Jamaica in the 90s. You know, I used to see my dad in the mesh marine and the Clarks and the little round glasses, you know, and all the, you know, so that to me, I always incorporate Jamaica in everything that I do. I always speak about my earlier days because that is what inspired everything that I do, right? My culture, you know, coming from Jamaica. So every single thing. And people can tell you every time I've done, you know, interviews in Europe and they're like, oh, Jamaica, we love Jamaica. You're from Jamaica. We could tell, we see it, you know, in the colors, because every collection that I do, there's always bright colors. There's these shapes that inspired like the 90s reggae. And, you know, so I always pay respect to Jamaica because that's where everything started, right? It all started there in Jamaica, my home.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I love the fact that you do that because sometimes we have become so westernized, if I can put it that way, you know, and we're not very proud of our heritage. Some of us, you know, we might even outrightly not want to associate our brands with our Caribbean culture. And I mean, I feel like it is so important in terms of the fact where you talk about this matter of being authentic, you know, and also being unique, being yourself.
Yes.
I really appreciate that. And would you say that that is one of your selling points? I think you mentioned the fact that your Yardi collection did so well.
Yes.
So you would say that definitely incorporating your Caribbean culture is a unique selling point of yours.
Definitely a unique selling point. I mean, my last interview that I did, so many people messaged me and I felt so, I mean, if I've inspired one, you know, person to really be authentic and do what's best for them and do, you know, just show who they are through their, you know, brand and what they're doing. Someone messaged me and they're like, oh, we felt so inspired when you said you're a little girl in Jamaica and you walk barefoot. Like people, that these things resonate with people because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. I was a little girl in Jamaica and I remember seeing these fashion magazines and my mom could tell you. And I said, Mom, one day I'm going to be in these magazines. I'm saying it now and I'm so emotional because you have no idea, a little 12-year-old girl just looking at these magazines and like, wow, one day I'm going to be in these magazines, right? Literally barefoot by the river because I'm a country girl. And I say this all the time in all of my interviews because it's important to me. It's what molds me, right? And I said, barefoot girl, Jamaica, you know, country girl. And now I'm in all these magazines, you know, and it's for me, if I've inspired one person, I think I've done my work here is done on earth, right? Because I've always not only wanted to start a brand, but also inspire people through what I do. Because being authentic, I think it's the most important thing that you can do and be in your brand. Because there's so many brands out there. How are you going to stand out? So you have to be authentic, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty about the storytelling and what storytelling can do for us as a brand, as an individual, you know, irrespective of what we are engaged in. The storytelling is very important because people can identify with that. They form a picture in their mind.
Exactly.
an association. And so that is so awesome.
Yes.
So we actually have moved into the next segment, which is the business of fashion, moving from concept to sales. And we already talked about the storytelling aspect of it and the fact that as a Jamaican-born, you do incorporate your heritage as a unique selling point, and you see it as a unique selling point rather than a limitation.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about the importance of pricing and affordability. How important is that, and how do you balance affordability with profitability? A lot of us as Caribbean entrepreneurs, whether we're in fashion or otherwise, we do struggle with this concept of pricing, whether we're setting it too high or too low. So like I said, how do you navigate between, the cost of producing your eyewear as opposed to what consumers are willing to pay? And I also wanted you to talk about, answer that and then I'll ask you a second part.
Okay, so the question is, how do I price my product? Like,
how do you navigate between the cost of, production? Because that has to be a part of your pricing, eh?
Absolutely. The production is actually a key fundamental part of, product-based, brands like myself, because it starts from there, right? The production, because if you're going to pay X amount for production, you have to factor in everything into production, because you're paying for the prototypes, paying for shipping, because I'm very strategic in, my design process, right? So before I even go further so sometimes my production cost can be a little bit higher, and I realize that it has to be like that for the product to be perfect and, up to standard. So I always have a prototype shipped to me before the production starts. So that in itself costs money, right? A lot of brands don't do that, but because I'm more I pay more attention to details. So I have to have the prototype in my hand. The market also is what, you have to factor in the climate of society now. We have to strategically each month say, okay, do we put this product on sale? Do we continue to have this pricing? So every month or every week we have to do evaluation, and we have to do like analytic report to say, okay, this style is not doing good, this style is not doing well. So from the base point of pricing, I think every brand is going to be different, but for me personally, we have to factor in everything. We put time into it. We put, the shipping cost into it. And once we have calculated all of that, we say we can sell it at a reasonable price. So that because we have a niche, we have a particular set of people that will spend regardless of the price, because they just love my brand and they just follow my brand. It's just like Louis Vuitton or any other brand. They have their niche and they have people, no matter the price of the product, they will buy it. So I'm lucky to say I'm in a position where the pricing is not such a big deal. Like, people will spend the money to buy it, but I still try to put it at a reasonable price that, once I've sold and I've done, all the separation in terms of taxes and all of that, like, you can make a reasonable profit, right? So it's a never ending thing, right? For example, recently my factory that I use, they sent me an invoice. They're like, oh, we have to add on some other external costs that we're facing over here. And I'm like, but you can't just, you know what I mean? And that wasn't factored in initially. So you also have to look at miscellaneous charges that factories will send you as well. So it's not one cookie cutter way. It's each time, like for each collection that I do, it's a different costing and a different, markup. So it's not one set way, right? So it's I think each brand has to just decide how best to do their pricing. I think, for every brand it's different.
Okay. And still on the matter of pricing, would you encourage, that sometimes because we want the sale, we lower the price to attract customers? Have you ever done that? And would you encourage entrepreneurs to go that route? Just whether it's going to be for a short-term period or not. Is there like a strategy that you would encourage entrepreneurs once they have their product and they're ready to go to market?
I think having sale is good. For my brand personally, we don't do like regular sales, like every holiday you're expected to have a sale, like let's say Memorial Day or whatever. I don't follow the masses. I just do a random sale, but it's not necessarily, I like exclusivity, right? Like I love things that are exclusive. So I'm not going to have a sale every holiday, which everybody expects you to do. And this is just for me personally. I like it, my brand to be a little more exclusive. So what I'll do is I'll have a sale for the year, and I'll like do a very good worth it sale, like 50% off, right? Or like when I launched my ski collection, the Swiss collection, I had 50% off. That did really well. And I only launched it for like 2 days, 50% off. And once that sale is done, then that's it, no more sales. So I strategically have sale throughout the year, but not during when people expect you to have it, right? But I think, again, each brand do what they think is best for them. I don't feel like you should ever lower your price just to have sales. I feel like you should stick to your price, and sales are good, right? I think they're good. They do work, but I think you should be strategic in doing it. Don't follow what everyone else is doing and feel pressured into, oh, it's Memorial Day, so I have to have a sale. No, if you have a product that's doing well, keep it at the price. And then if you feel like, you want to have a sale, then go ahead. But don't be pressured to always have a sale. I don't think so. And that's just for me personally, for my brand.
Mm-hmm. I'm on the ground, and I have conversations with other female entrepreneurs. And one of the things here is that if the product is not priced high, it is not good. Let's talk a little bit about that. Is that what they call psychology of pricing, where people associate good value with a high price? What has been your experience, if at all, where that is concerned? Do you think, I hear you mentioned you like being exclusive.
Yes.
So do you find that exclusive pricing creates more demand in your niche? Or is it regular pricing, or if you want to add affordable pricing, that is a key to success?
Yeah, I must say there's definitely a psychology to higher pricing, meaning higher quality. But I don't think that's necessarily correct. I think it's just a perception, right? It's not to say that something that is more expensive is necessarily of better quality or of better, but I think what I was able to leverage is being exclusive. Like, I'm not going to drop my prices to $20 just because it's Labor Day. I have other friends that are in the industry, and they're like, oh, you're not having a sale for Labor Day? And I'm like, no, I'm not, right? I just love to be exclusive. And I've done a lot of case studies on different top brands. And, you have to, again, stay authentic and know what you're doing and stay in your lane. Don't be pressured to do this because this brand is doing this or because society tells you to do this. And, America itself is a consumer-driven society where you have sales all the time. I don't believe in that. I want to keep my brand exclusive. I'll have sales, time when I feel like it's necessary. But in terms of having a sale all the time, I don't think, no. Look at Apple. When has Apple ever had a sale, but yet still their product is always sold out, right? So, because it's exclusive. No, I mean, when Apple have their one sale for the year, there's like lines and stuff going around. So you have to try to, for Art Life World, I'd love to keep it exclusive. I'd love to just, have it at a particular price point all the time and a particular level all the time. So people will always want the product. And I do have my, audience that no matter what, they'll buy it. And that's the goal. That's the goal, right? You have that set of people that don't question the price, but because they love your brand, they love your authenticity, they love what you're doing. So they'll buy it anyway.
I love that. And if I can add my take, I believe that when a product is done excellently and delivered excellently, then it doesn't matter the price. People will always want to buy excellence.
Exactly. Yes.
That's the bottom line. For me, that is,
Yes.
All right. So what are some of the mistakes that you see? I heard you mention that you mentor new entrepreneurs.
Yes.
What are some of the mistakes that entrepreneurs make, and how can they avoid them?
Okay. I mentioned this in the beginning, and I also had to learn that the hard way too, because nothing that you learn in school is ever, what is actually in the fields, right? So the key things that I tell emerging designers like myself and, other designers and brands that I mentor is you have to separate a brand from a business. They know how to do the social media and go on and show this and show that, but what is the back end of the business? Like, what are you doing to trump up sales? What are you doing to to make your brand profitable. And a lot of them don't know, right? So I always tell people, you have the brand separate from the business. You have to have a sales team. You have to have someone to help you with sales. And that is crucial because everything is interconnected in a business, right? You need the press and the PR, that's one different department. You need the sales and market, that's one different department. So when you're starting out, it's hard to have these different departments. So you have to know how to outsource these skills that you need to build a business, right? And building a business is not as easy as people think it is. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time because you have to study so much analytic in terms of, like me, for example, I'm learning how the market works in Australia, in different countries that we're getting orders from, right? We have to learn about the shipping technique, so that's the business part of it. That's the dirty part of it, of having to figure out how do I ship to Australia that my customer don't have to pay the highest amount of shipping costs, especially to Europe. They have the highest taxes in the world in terms of shipping goods from, anywhere, the Caribbean, America to US. How do I kind of minimize that so I have my customers coming back, right? So I always tell people you have to know the business side of what you're doing. And this is why a lot of brands, they don't succeed. After maybe 2 years, they give up because they're like, oh, we're not making any money. We're not doing this. But you have to know the business side of what you're doing. And that is different from a brand.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if at all possible, as you mentioned earlier, you outsource.
Yes, you have to outsource. I mean, I'm a creative, right? I don't know the monetary side of it in terms of how do I break this down? You know what I mean? So I have to outsource people to do these things, right? Now I can do the sales and a lot of it myself because I also went back to school to learn everything. And our industry, especially fashion, is a moving industry. You have the AI, that's taking over now that can literally do everything for you. But you also have to be careful of that because you need to know how to do it yourself, right? Yes, you outsource, but you still need to know how to do it yourself as well. Right? You have to wear many hats in order for your business to succeed. Don't leave everything into the hands of people that you outsource. You still try to learn.
Well, that's for sure, because people will take advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to have a working knowledge and know when this does not make sense from a sense. Absolutely.
You'll get in a lot of trouble with that, And in our beginning stage, again, we a lot of things that we outsourced it makes, and we're like, wait a minute, and they were charging us like extra money that they didn't have to charge us, and then we went back and we're like, wait a minute, but you charge us X for this, but you didn't do it. We still, you know what I mean? So, like I said, you have to really dig deep into your business and know what you're doing. You'll end up spending so much money unnecessary, you know what I mean? So you really have to know what you're doing and manage your money properly, because everything takes money, and you don't ever want to be outsourcing and spending more money going out than what's coming in. You're going to sink. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love that you're stressing all of that, because it is important for us to understand that, yes, we have an idea. Yes, we have a concept. Yes, we can see it from beginning to end. But there are so many things that are involved in the whole process, to actually make it become a profitable or a profit at the end of the day, because it's essentially why we're all in business, Just to make profit. I want to throw this in, LaToya. What is one quick tip that you wish you knew before launching your brand?
Whew, that's a very loaded question. I mean, you're never, okay, so I'm going to be honest. You're never, ever going to have it all figured out, right? Everything as you go along is a learning process. When I started Art Life World, I thought I knew the very basics of what needed to get done to get started, but as I go along, everything. And I also had to go back to school to learn a lot of things that I learn now. So I would say, you're not going to have it all figured out. You just have to make a plan. And I would say every entrepreneur that's starting out, making a 5-year plan is super important, because I feel like you have to, you have to have certain goals in mind. Like, you can't be going 5 years and not be making a profit and not doing your analytic and seeing why that is, right? So you have to, in the beginning, you're not going to have it all figured out, but you need to make a plan and be strategic in everything that you're doing. And yeah, you have to be strategic because you don't want to be doing this for 10 years and not seeing any results. And if within, I would say it's a 5-year window, if within 5 years nothing is working, you have to change either what you're doing is not working and you have to figure out how to change that. But you can't keep going and not making a profit, or you're not seeing any changes and keep going. You have to be strategic.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So this takes us into our third segment, which is all about marketing, selling, and expanding beyond the Caribbean.
Yes.
When I look at you on social media, I don't even think that you have to do much marketing, LaToya, because you are a representation of your brand, right?
No.
But I'm pretty sure it took a lot of work to get to where you are today. How can someone without a big budget start and also build momentum?
Okay. What people don't understand is you're the brand, right? And this is how Art Life World got so many publications. Let's remember that. You are the brand. I know lots of people are very shy. They're not, into the camera or not. If you can't be that person, then you need to hire someone to do that, because I realize people like to see who is behind the brand, right? So what I tell people all the time is network, right? You have to network, because a lot of the publications that we have gotten is through networking. You don't have a big budget. That is why you being that walking billboard is what's going to help you. Because I wear my sunglasses everywhere, to the supermarket, to the gym. My friend is like, I never ever see you without sunglasses. Do you even sleep in them? I'm like, yeah, I kind of do sleep in them. Like, you have to be that walking billboard for your brand, and people will see you and they'll gravitate to everything that you're doing. I mean, I must honestly say I was very strategic, and that brings me back to why you have to be strategic. In the beginning, it was very hard, but we leverage my personality and just going out networking at different events and having PR in the beginning, right? A PR that helps us to say, okay, if you do this, you can be in Harper's Bazaar. If you do this, then you could be in Vogue magazine. And that's what we did. We were very strategic. We were at every event that you could think of. Marie Claire, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar. And that's how we started. It's not like that now, because people are calling us now, but in the beginning, that's what we had to do. You have to step out and, be the face of your brand and network.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sleep, dream, talk to everybody.
Yes.
Get tired of you. You're talking about Hot Life Eyewear. They're tired to see you in Hot Life Eyewear.
Yes. You have to be everywhere. I mean, the truth is, every big brand, they have a PR department, right, that handles all of that. We do that now, but because we have the budget to do it now. In the beginning, we didn't, right? So how do you get to be in these magazines? And that's how you're going to network, right?
Mm-hmm. And be your own PR person.
Your own PR person. In the beginning, I was my PR, I was my tech, I was my everything, because I didn't have the budget in the beginning, because all the money that I had was investing in product development. So I didn't have the money to pay a marketing team. But again, being strategic is super important, especially in the early days. You have to have a plan. You can't be going for 5 years and not having a plan. You have to be strategic. You have to have a plan, because these magazine publications are very important. They give you validation. You're like, oh, I'm honored to say that I've been in every single magazine. That just name one magazine and I can tell you that I've been in it, right? And this is me going out networking, talking about my brand, trying to get on every show that I can. Everybody that have an ear that could hear me, I would talk about my brand. And that's how you have to be. Let me tell you something. I did an interview. I should share that with you another time on social media. And I said in the interview, and it kind of resonated with people. They're like, people that are entrepreneurs or start something, these are really cocky people, because it's like you get up one day and you're like, I'm going to make a product and have people buy it, right? You have to be delusional enough to know that you're going to make a product and then people are going to buy it. But how do you get people to buy your product? Especially Art Life World, that's sunglasses, and there are millions of other brands of eyewear. But why am I doing so well? Often it goes back to you being authentic and staying in your lane and just having a strategic plan. That's all that it takes. And consistency too. Because there are days that nothing is working. I can tell you that. I remember one week, everything that could go wrong went wrong, right? But you still have to push through and keep going and doing what you love, because you created this brand. I created this brand out of a love for fashion and travel and lifestyle. So I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be impactful. So you got to network. You have to do it and be strategic and make a plan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love it. All right. So would you consider yourself to be an extrovert or an introvert? Because a lot of times, or you'll find that a lot of people who start businesses, they are more passionate about the creative aspect of it and not necessarily the business aspect of it and the networking and pushing yourself and, being in the room with many people. How would you encourage someone who is not, an extrovert, so to speak, the person who will want to do the networking? How would you encourage that person to get out of their shell and to start putting themselves in position where they can represent their brand and people can see them and buy into what it is that they're selling?
Well, for me, the answer is I am 110% extrovert. I'm definitely extrovert. And on top of that, I'm a people person, right?
You're not the right person to answer that question then.
I am definitely a people person. I am like, even though I don't have to do the PR myself in terms of going out, but I love to do it. It's my brand. So no one can represent my brand as best as I can, right? So I still do it.
Yeah.
Now, if someone starts a brand and they're introvert, then get someone that you think is a good representation of your brand, right? They have to, be within the aesthetic of your brand. That's what I would do, because again, in the beginning, if you don't have a large budget, how are you going to get your brand out there? You cannot be an introvert and expect people to come to you. That is quite the opposite of what people want to see. They want to see who is this brand, who is behind this brand. Again, Alt Life World is an eyewear brand. I didn't invent anything new, but I was able to leverage my personality, going out networking. So if you're an introvert, then find someone that you think will best represent your brand.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think also for the person who is an introvert, they can participate in, like fashion expos, these Caribbean events that take place throughout the year.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to be the person who is speaking. And, if you present yourself, you have a booth, whatever it is, persons will come to you, So that is just my addition.
Yeah. You have to talk about your brand, right? When people come up to your booth, you still have to, and people love people that are excited about their brand. When you come say, well, my name is, and they want to hear the life in your voice about your brand and, things like that get people excited. So, I think you're right. Being an introvert is not necessarily a bad thing, right? You may be that person that is on the back end. That's like the brain behind the business. And then you have that person. But trust me, you definitely need someone on the forefront that is vivacious and that can bring your brand on the front, because fashion is a very competitive market. And the ones that are going to survive is the one that's not necessarily in your face, but the one that you see that, have a story, have this, and this is what people sell. Right? So look at Crocs. Crocs don't sell, Crocs is the ugliest shoes ever, but Crocs is one of the most successful company because they don't sell the style, they sell comfort. So what is your story, right? And people love hearing that. So if you're an introvert, you have to find a way around that in order. It's not to say that you're not going to be successful, because you have a lot of designers that are introvert, but they find a way. Again, you have to be strategic, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's the recurring theme that I'm getting from our conversation. The fact that you have to be strategic about.
You have to be strategic.
You have to think about the different aspects of the business and how you're going to move it forward and get the wheels turning. It's not like a wing it situation.
Nope. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's tough. It's tough. Being in business is tough. Mm-hmm. I don't know about any other entrepreneurs out there, but my brain is always working, it's never shut down. So you always have to think of new ways of, relaunching, doing things for your brand that will keep it relevant and keep it fresh and keep it going, because that's what you want to do, right? So you just have to find a way around all of that. But everything, there's always a way around it, right? So you just have to, again, comes back to the same word, have to be strategic in what you're doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You have to have a plan.
Yeah, I love this conversation. It's not, and I think how important is mentorship? Let's talk about that.
Oh my gosh, mentorship is so, so important, right? Because for me, for example, my journey was not one of that was easy. I'm a Jamaican girl coming to a big city with no resources, no connections, no anything. I knew no one, right? And I honestly didn't have a mentor. I think my spirit guides were my mentor, right? I always followed my instinct. I always prayed a lot. I always fall back on my spirituality. Coming from Jamaica, my mom was like, that's what you have. That's going to carry you through the hard time. Trusting God, trusting your faith. So in terms of, nothing is, I think for me, now that I'm mentoring, I wish I did have a mentor earlier on in my career. But I think mentorship is very important. They keep you grounded, and also they keep you accountable. Like, you have to be accountable, right? When you're speaking to these mentors and they're telling you, like, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to get going. So they kind of keep you grounded and, inspire you to push beyond the boundaries that you think you have. Because some of us, we sometimes limit ourselves, and when we have that mentor to inspire us to say, you need to push beyond this point, I think it's super important to have a mentor. And I've been so lucky and so blessed to be mentors to a lot of people, not only designers, but just people that want to start something, but they don't know where to go and how to start. So I feel good to give back, because not only do I want to create a successful brand, but I also want to be impactful with my life to give back. Because I feel like if you have a platform, why not give back? Why not help people to try to, figure things out and empower people? And, I think mentorship is super important. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I heard you talk about having a kind heart and what it will do for you and how it will take you to places. And I just wanted you to touch a little bit on that. It might not be, something that you would expect in this kind of conversation, but I feel like a lot of times we leave out the human element.
Yes.
Foundation of things.
Yes.
Conversations. And so I want you to just expound a little bit on that.
Yes. Well, I feel like in whatever you do, you can be a lot of things in life, right? Why not be kind? Why not be nice, right? I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. We all can succeed, but fashion in itself, our industry, is a very ego-driven industry. And I feel like being more collaborative and working together and being respectful of others is super important. And I'm able to leverage that because of my personality. I don't care if people think that, fashion, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. Again, I stay authentic to who I am, how I was raised, and the values that I was taught as a kid growing up. And I still have these values today. So I don't care if I'm in fashion or whatever industry. I feel like having a kind heart and doing things out of love and respect for others will take you further than your talent. And I think you may hear me say it over and over, staying authentic and true to yourself. It is super important. This is what has given me the vehicle to be where I am today. Being authentic, being kind, being respectful. I've done so many shoots. People call me back and like, we love your energy. Would you like to work on this? Right now I'm working on the biggest project of my career. And, it's just because of the energy that I put on set, and they're like, we want to work with you again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think having a kind heart, a good spirit, that is also important. You cannot, go into this game just be me, and it just doesn't work. You have to just, and also whatever good energy you put out, it will definitely come back to you. It always comes back to you. I'm a living, testimony. Like, I've put only good energy out and everything has come back to me, right? It's important. You must be respectful and kind, Mm-hmm. So that really helps. It really helps.
Well, that's one of my mantras in terms of, you can only get back what you give.
Yes.
So that is a very excellent point, and I'm happy that you said that. All right. We're going to wrap up shortly, but before we do, I know you have given us a lot of gems, you have given us a lot of advice, but whether you want to reinforce, that's fine. But what is that one big wow tip or advice that you can give to someone who is ready to turn their passion for fashion into a business?
I would say just go for it. Just go for it. Sometimes we overthink things. Oh, this is not going to work. Or this is going to cost me that. Just go for it, and everything will work everything will work out. And the reason why I say just go for it, and this is why Nike slogan, I have it in my office and I have it pasted up, just do it, right? Because you're never, ever, no entrepreneur, and the most successful entrepreneurs can tell you in the beginning, no one had it figured out. And they should go listen to Pharrell. They should go listen to, Steve Jobs, read his book. No one ever have it figured out. So just do it and everything else will work into place. But also know why you're doing it. Don't go in it saying, oh, I want to make $10 billion by the end of the year. No, the money will come. Go in it with a passion and love, and be, have a plan and stick to that plan and just do it, and everything else will. But you have to have a plan. Just do it. Just go for it. We overthink things too much.
Mm-hmm. And execute excellently.
Just execute. Just go. Get it done. Everything else will work into place. But don't just do it and not have a plan. You do it. You go for it. Execute it. Bam. Get it done and have a plan and be strategic. Right. So. And a team, guys, team is very important. We cannot do this alone. Yes, in the beginning, it's going to be just you because you don't have the money, but team building is also crucial, very, very crucial to your success. I can say that because I'm so thankful. It took me years to build this team, and I have a very amazing team around me that helps me every day to make everything possible. It's not just me, guys. And I don't want them to kill me. It's not just me. I have an amazing team around me that helps me each and every day. So team building is also another crucial thing. You have to have a strong team around you and people that share your same vision, your same goal. You can't have a team that's in different direction. One team.
I love it. And that's a great way for us to end this wonderful conversation. LaToya, thank you so much for coming on and just to share some of your tips with us. Good advice that we've gotten on this conversation. All right. So I wanted to just reiterate a little bit of what I gleaned from the conversation. And I love the aspect of the storytelling. We must be able to say what our brand is about, why it is that we are doing what we're doing, and just the foundation of it all, whether it be, as LaToya mentioned, your upbringing. She mentioned this whole matter of being authentic and being unique, staying in your own lane, have the right people surrounding you, as she just mentioned. Be innovative. If you don't have the funding, the big monies behind you at the start of whatever it is that you're trying to embark on, you have to be innovative. You have to be strategic. Remember that excellence will sell. What else? Know the business. You can't leave it up to chance. Yes, you might have other persons supporting you, but you have to be in a position where you're able to know if this is what is supposed to be happening as opposed to not be happening. Love what you do. Be kind-hearted. So many takeaways that we got from this conversation, Beyond Women. And I really hope that you will take them and incorporate them in your business. Of course, we're going to put LaToya's contact information in the notes that accompany this conversation. And therefore, if you want to reach out to LaToya, you can reach out to her, or know a little bit more about Hot Life World, which is her eyewear brand. Beautiful and well-designed sunglasses, if I might say so myself. And just to know a little bit more about how fabulous and really kind-hearted and down-to-earth LaToya is. All right. So thank you so much for joining in on the conversation. And I want to challenge all of you this week. Take the step. As LaToya mentioned, she has a Nike sign in her office. Just do it. So take the one step towards your fashion business, whether it's, sketching out. As LaToya said, she started by sketching different fashion pieces, different fashion designs, or even doing a little bit of researching manufacturers, or launching your social media page if you haven't started that. But that's a challenge to you who will want to start your own business. Take one step in any of those areas or any other that you might want to come up with. We're also inviting you to share your fashion brand ideas with us, and you can use the hashtag TBW Caribbean Fashionpreneurs, or you can DM us your questions or any takeaways that you might have gotten that resonated with you in this episode. Thank you so much again, LaToya, and of course we will stay connected.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Beyond Woman podcast. I hope you're leaving feeling inspired and ready to take action. Remember, you are capable of so much more than you think. Keep pushing those boundaries, keep learning, and keep believing in your limitless potential. We want to stay connected with you, so be sure to follow us on social media at The Beyond Woman Magazine for daily inspiration and behind-the-scenes content, and to join our growing community of empowered women. Visit us at www.thebeyondwomanmag.com and www.thebeyondwoman.com, where you will find more resources and articles to support you in your journey. Sign up for our newsletters and be the first to know about our exclusive events and for more opportunities to connect. To all my Caribbean sisters, let's lift each other up. Share this episode with the women in your life who need to hear this message, and let's continue to build this powerful network together. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on this app. Your support helps us to reach more women. Thank you for being part of the Beyond Woman movement. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep living your extraordinary life.